In 1879, in the Dakota Territory, Fergus Coffey visits his beloved, Marianne Stewart, and gives her a brooch that once belonged to his mother. He plans to propose to her within a few days, and the gift serves as a keepsake. Soon after, tragedy strikes. One night, Marianne's family is attacked without warning by unknown raiders. The family hides in the basement, but the attackers break in. Claw marks left at the scene reveal that the assailants are not human. The next day, Fergus returns and walks into a nightmare. Marianne's family has been slaughtered, and Marianne is missing. He does not yet know what hunts beneath the earth. This is the Burrowers. Fergus reports the incident to his colleague, John Clay. They assume a hostile Indian tribe is responsible. Determined to find her, Fergus seeks help from William Perchier, a former soldier. William is on a picnic with his girlfriend and her son, Dobie Spax, but he immediately agrees to join the search. Dobie comes along because his mother trusts William to protect him. As the group begins to investigate, William examines another victim and notices a disturbing neck wound. They also find strange holes in the ground near the destroyed homes. John Clay then arrives with a larger search party led by Henry Victor, who brings his cook, Walnut Callahan, as well as 10 bears from the Crow tribe, who has been hired to guide them. After burying the remaining victims, the men set out on horseback to search for Marianne. During the journey, new horrors surface. William's horse breaks through soft ground and reveals a corpse hidden beneath the soil. Tension rises further when the group later spots an Indian man on horseback. Victor shoots the man's horse and takes him prisoner. William shows the captive a photo of Marianne and asks for information, but the man refuses to speak. Victor responds with torture, hoping to force answers. That night, the torture escalates. The captive is tied down and mutilated. Walnut, unable to watch the cruelty any longer, secretly gives the man food. Victor notices and becomes enraged. Fergus, trying to shield Walnut, takes the blame. Victor raises his whip, but John Clay steps in with a pistol and forces him to stand down. With tensions high, Fergus apologizes, and the camp slips into an uneasy silence. As the night wears on, Victor assigns 3 men to stand guard while the others sleep. The camp grows quiet, but rustling in the brush breaks the stillness. One guard goes to investigate and finds only a drunken member of their own group stumbling in the dark. With no real answers and tempers still simmering, the night drags on. At sunrise, the situation worsens. Several of Victor's men are missing, and panic spreads through the remaining camp. Victor blames the Indian prisoner and assumes the missing men were taken by the prisoner's tribe. The captive insists the attackers are burrowers, flesh-eating creatures that will return, but Victor and his men dismiss the warning and believe burrowers is simply the name of another tribe. Before the argument continues, Dobie finds more holes in the ground. John Clay sees the discovery as a lead. Tension with Victor reaches a breaking point, and John decides to separate from him. John, Fergus, William, and Dobie ride away to follow the trail of holes. They travel until nightfall and stop to rest. Out of the darkness, a lone figure approaches. It is Walnut, who admits he has abandoned Victor and asks to join them. John agrees on the condition that Walnut follows orders without question. At dawn, the group continues their search. The trail of holes stretches across the plains, and before long they find an abandoned wagon filled with valuables. While searching the area, Dobie uncovers strands of hair buried in the soil. The men dig and uncover a paralyzed woman with the same wounds as earlier victims. She is alive but stiff, unresponsive, and barely able to breathe. Shaken by the discovery, John and the others decide to push forward. They send Dobie back with the rescued woman, instructing him to return her to the nearest settlement, while the rest continue searching for Marianne. As the group moves deeper into the forest, they are suddenly surrounded by a band of Indians. Startled, Fergus fires a shot that misses and throws the situation into chaos. His horse rears, Walnut's horse slams into it, and Fergus is kicked to the ground. Frustrated, John orders him to stay focused and follow instructions. The group presses forward, but moments later a rifle shot from the trees strikes John in the neck. He dies instantly. The ambushing Indians open fire, and Fergus, Walnut, and William scramble for cover behind a fallen horse. They return fire and manage to hold their position until the attackers withdraw into the trees. During the same night, Dobie camps in an open field beside the paralyzed woman. He hears movement in the dark. A burrower leaps from the brush and slashes his neck. The creature spits into the wound, and the fluid spreads through his bloodstream. The venom paralyzes Dobie, keeping him conscious while stripping him of movement. The burrowers then feed on the woman's organs and drag Dobie away to be buried alive. Elsewhere, Fergus, William, and Walnut wait in silence until the attackers leave the area. They gather poisonous leaves and burn them to drive off any remaining trackers, then continue deeper into the wilderness. By the next day, the men rest again, and Fergus confides in William about his fear for Marianne's fate. That night, William tells Fergus and Walnut to get some sleep. As they walk the perimeter, they realize William has vanished. Fergus suspects that William used them as bait to distract the Indians. Before they can decide what to do next, rustling sounds echo from the brush. Fergus throws a burning log toward the noise, and the fire reveals a burrower. The creature lunges at William, who has been hiding nearby, and claws his neck. Walnut fires and drives the burrower away, but the attack leaves William numb. His face begins to lose all sensation. Knowing the burrowers will return and that William's condition will only get worse if they stay, the three men gather their supplies and move on. After several miles, they spot a fire in the distance and ride toward it. There they meet a native woman named Fate, who tells them she is the sole survivor of an attack. As they talk, she explains that the burrowers have been around far longer than humans. They once fed on buffalo and lived underground, hidden from the world. Fate describes how the burrowers hunt. They wound their prey, spit venom into the injury, and paralyze the victim. Once the body is helpless, the creatures bury it alive. They return only after the blood thickens and the organs soften. The burrowers then consume everything inside the body. Over many years, buffalo became scarce because of human hunting. With their primary food source gone, the burrowers began targeting humans. Fate also mentions that the Ute tribe once fought the burrowers, but the Ute refused to share their methods. The group absorbs this information, and William becomes convinced that the Ute can help him. His wound is spreading, and he wants to find the tribe to seek a cure. Fergus and Walnut disagree on priorities, but they follow William's plan and search for the Ute. Before long, they cross into Ute territory and make camp. That night, tension grows. Fergus wakes from a nightmare in which he sees Marianne buried in a hole. William has not slept at all and can barely move. His limbs are stiff, and he warns the others not to abandon him. The burrowers return before dawn. Fergus and Walnut fire at the creatures, while William struggles to lift his gun. He attempts to shoot, but his rigid arms cause him to misfire, and the bullet strikes Walnut in the leg. The burrowers retreat after the exchange of gunfire. Fate, terrified, urges the group to leave the area at once, but William insists on staying. His hands are too weak to pull the trigger when he raises his gun in threat, and Fergus takes the weapon from him. Unable to stay where they are, Fergus urges the group to move. Walnut's leg is bleeding heavily, forcing them to stop and treat the wound before they continue. While they rest, two Ute warriors appear. Fergus speaks to them in French and explains that he is searching for Marianne, who was taken by the burrowers. The Ute reveal a plan to lure and kill the creatures using bait. They choose William, who is already near death, and seize him, warning Fergus not to interfere. Before leaving, one of the warriors drops a small pouch containing the brooch Fergus once gave Marianne. Believing she is dead, Fergus ignores Walnut's pleas to turn back. With nowhere safe to return to, he decides to pursue the Ute and learn how to destroy the burrowers. Fergus tracks them through the forest with his rifle ready. Without warning, one of the Ute ambushes him. Fergus reacts and fires, killing the attacker. He then continues forward and finds William tied to a tree. As Fergus attempts to free him, William grabs the rifle and shoots Fergus in the arm. Fergus stumbles back and steps into a bear trap that snaps shut on his leg. William fires in panic and kills the last Ute warrior by accident. While Fergus struggles to pry open the trap, burrowers rise from the soil and swarm William. Paralyzed and weak, William is unable to fight back as they begin to feed. One of the creatures then crawls toward Fergus, but he grabs a spare trap and throws it, stopping the attack. He manages to pull his leg free, then sees another burrower reach for the wounded Ute. Fergus grabs a sharpened stake and drives it into the creature until it stops moving. As Fergus regains his footing, he sees several burrowers collapse. The Ute had forced William to drink poison, and the creatures that fed on him are now paralyzed. The wounded Ute urges Fergus to finish them with the stakes, but more burrowers burst from the ground. Fergus strikes quickly, driving a stake into one of them as the attack continues. Moments later, sunrise breaks over the ridge. The exposed burrowers burn in the daylight and die where they stand. Fergus now understands the Ute method. The creatures can be forced to surface, poisoned, and finished once the morning light weakens them. With the threat gone, Fergus returns to Walnut and Fate, bringing the wounded Ute warrior with him. The group is exhausted and unable to travel, so Fergus decides to reach the nearest settlement alone and return with a doctor. During the trip back, Fergus encounters Victor's men. They capture him and escort him to Victor's camp. When Fergus arrives, he is met with a grim scene. Fate and the wounded Ute have been executed and left hanging. Victor also ordered Walnut's leg to be amputated, and Walnut did not survive. Victor has blamed the tribes for all the deaths and continues his campaign of hatred, unaware of what truly happened. Fergus is left devastated, and Victor presses on with his misguided mission. The story closes with Dobie, still alive beneath the soil, as the burrowers consume his organs. The scene fades to black. So the moral of the story is: do not go wandering into monster territory with unstable teammates, bad leadership, and zero backup, or you might end up buried alive while everyone blames the wrong people.